Mr. Ed Ramirez, pleasure to be with you. Thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure. Pleasure having you.
So let's talk about you. Were you born and how did you become a police officer?
Yeah, I was born and raised in City Terrace in Boyle Heights, and I had positive contacts with law enforcement, and I had negative contacts with law enforcement. My positive ones made me want to join the police department, and my negative ones made me want to join it even further. A person once told me that in order to execute effective change, it has to be done from the inside. So when I saw some negative things going on, I didn't like it. I am from a family of folks who are very politically minded. They have, or my family has engaged in protests where we felt that things were wrong, where we felt change needed to be made. And I joined the department because I felt that a lot of changes were needed. And having been on the sheriff department for 31 years, I have been able to implement some effective change, starting with some programs that I built in the jails and segueing into my job here at the Captain of West Hollywood and sort of setting the tone for how my deputies behave, how we treat the public, and what the perceptions of the sheriff department are to the public and the citizens of West Hollywood.
Are you married? Do you have kids?
I am married. I've been married to my wife. We just celebrated our 35th wedding anniversary. We celebrated in Maui, and we had a fantastic time. I do have 3 adult children. 2 of my daughters are nurses, and my son is currently in his final year of law school at Boston College. He is a graduate of Princeton, and he is also a second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps.
Wow, fantastic.
So yeah, I'm very proud of all of my children.
And where do you live?
I live in Pasadena. Yeah, I live in Pasadena. I've lived in Pasadena now for probably the last 16 years. I've lived in the San Gabriel Valley for most of my adult life. The trek here to the city of West Hollywood is not as bad as people think. I get here very early in the morning. Typically it takes me about a half hour to get here. Now going home, depending on what time I get here, or what time I leave, if it's anywhere around 5, it could be between an hour and 15 minutes. But I typically stay a little bit later so I can reduce that travel time.
And do you go drive back and forth in a police car?
I do. I do. The county provides captains a car to respond to emergencies. As you well know, the captain, you have a work schedule. You're required to work the 40 hours a week. However, it goes much further than 40 hours, and occasionally we have to respond to things that happen on the weekend. So cars are necessary. So I do have a what we call a slick car that's outfitted with.
If something happened in your own home neighborhood, are you legally allowed to respond to that?
I am. Yeah, we are legally allowed to respond to that. Typically, I would be a good witness. I would be I also live in the area of Pasadena that's patrolled by the Temple Station deputy sheriffs. So I would be a good witness, and I would telephone Temple Station, unless, of course, it was a life or death situation. Then I would absolutely get involved.
Okay, let's get a little bit into the overall summary of the work of the force here. How many officers?
It varies. I can have anywhere between. I usually have about 100 officers. Is safe.
And how many are assigned? Like they work at 27 a day, 25 a day, alternate schedules.
Yeah, no, it varies. It varies throughout the week. It varies according to shift, depending on day shift, early morning shift, and PM shift. PM shift and early morning shift tends to be our busiest times, so we do happen to have more officers on duty at those particular times.
Do you have direct oversight over block by block and know their stats of how many people on their force?
No, I do not have oversight of them, but we do work very closely together, and my service area lieutenant Bill Mulder works very, very closely with them. I will say that I am a big fan of block by block. They are essentially an added set of eyes and ears to the sheriff's department, and they phone us regularly and let us know exactly what is going on in our neighborhoods.
But that's a separate contract than the sheriff contract.
Yeah, that's separate.
When you have a budget and you have overtime, do you plan for the overtime in the budget? Or is the overtime always an X and based on need, and then you come back and ask for more resources?
No, we have a set overtime budget that's set for the year, and we utilize it accordingly. The city and the city and the sheriff department have always had a very, very good relationship. The city has a good relationship with their captains, past captains, and me as well. And they allow us to utilize the overtime monies given to us for anything we see fit. Let's say, for example, we're having a rash of vehicle burglaries on the west side. I could put together a specialized team. I can put together a group of overtime. I can add in some plainclothes officers. If we're experiencing a rash of thefts at the Gateway Center, I can put a footbeat team over there. We can move our people around based on the issues and the problems that are going on in the city of West Hollywood.
We'll get to the the whole budget. Is there a percentage of overtime that's built in that budget? 80-20, 90-10?
No, it's a specific amount. It's a specific amount that we have per year allotted for overtime for our specialized
You
units.
spoke in front of the city council a few weeks ago with regards to needs versus raises and costs, and the council allowed you to keep the same amount of budget, and you had to trim some other places. Can you explain all that?
Yes, during the COVID, when COVID first began, every city department took a percentage reduction. I want to say it was 10%, but I'm not quite sure exact. However, the sheriff department did. We acted accordingly.
Was that cut payroll, or was that cut in overall budget?
A budget, yeah, per department. Everybody per department. So what we did is we removed a sergeant from the EPT team. What it was the sergeant retired from EPT, and then we had one deputy.
EPT is
our entertainment policing team, our
Okay.
evening team, and then we had one deputy item. He was injured on duty, and we did not bring him back. So there were two items that we gave up. And during COVID, as you well know, the city was pretty much shut down. There was not a lot going on, so we really did not miss the items. However, with the city reopening back up, with the copious amounts of people that are now coming into the city, with the crime rate slowly on the rise, I could certainly utilize those bodies again.
So we have not been able to replace the entertainment, the two nighttime police officers.
No, we have not yet.
And when that budget was kept the same without those two items, really we lost 50% of those 4 nighttime entertainment police, correct?
No, a little less than that, because let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 assigned, so I lost 1. So we went from 5 to 1. But the biggest thing is losing the sergeant. The sergeant was a big loss. The sergeant provides supervision for the deputies. But more importantly, that team is the one on early mornings and on PM shift who work the clubs, who work the Sunset Strip, who talk to business owners, who dialogue with the general managers, with wait staff, with bar staff, respond to calls for service at restaurants, bars, and clubs. And typically on the weekends, that could get a little busy. And these people are handpicked by me because of their ability to effectively communicate with the public, but more importantly, effectively communicate with people who are typically under the influence or may have had a lot to drink that particular night. And I picked these people because of their ability to converse, their ability to be professional, their ability to utilize as little force as necessary when dealing with people who have had a little bit too much to drink.
Let's talk about body cameras at the police department, because we spoke before, and I remember a few years ago was Exxon's body cameras, and you had told me that city was going to be buying some. And where are we at now? I think it's about 3 years since we talked about that.
Yes. We are, West Hollywood Station is fully equipped with body cameras. Every single person has a body camera, including myself. Whenever we have contact with the public, we are required to wear them and turn them on. It was a learning curve to begin with. You know, when you don't use cameras, you got to remember to turn them on. But it's like anything else with the sheriff's department. At one point, we didn't have to wear seatbelts, but we have to wear seatbelts now, and it takes some time to acclimate. We were initially given a 90-day grace period, where maybe you turn them on, maybe you didn't, but after that, then everybody was going to be held accountable in turning them on. Every single time they had contact with the public. I will tell you that from my perspective, and from the perspective of the deputies, body cameras are great because it tells the true story. It tells what actually happened. It allows me to monitor my deputies, monitor their behavior, monitor their demeanor, monitor their disposition, monitor how they're dealing with the public. But more importantly, from a perspective of complaints, it allows me to see exactly what happened, how the deputy handled themselves, whether they were unprofessional, whether there's validity to the complaint or not. I've told my deputies, even before we had cameras, do your job like you're on camera. Do your job like your mother is watching you. If you do that, you don't have anything to worry about.
I'm very familiar with Axon Enterprises because I've been watching them for years, and stockholder, fascinating company in law enforcement, largest in the nation. And when we talk about the body cameras, there's also the other side of it, the uploading of those cameras directly to the cloud that allows for streamlined processing of all the paperwork. Do we have that here too?
Yes.
We do.
Yes.
So the camera and the officers are able to speed up their paperwork by how much?
I'm not quite sure it's actually speeding things up, because you have to sit there and watch the video.
But everybody all the different detectives and all those reports become centralized in a cloud for everybody to centralize. Is that, or there's different levels. I'm just trying to figure out which.
I guess it is, because now it is centralized. You can go, when you have access, you can go and you can log on and you can watch the video, as opposed to trying to locate the video, trying to locate the file, trying to get the CD-ROM, putting the CD-ROM into the player.
Now that's deployed here in West Hollywood as part of West Hollywood's budget, or the overall sheriff department of Los Angeles?
It's a sheriff department. It's a sheriff department action. Yes.
But we're fully deployed here in West Hollywood.
We are fully deployed here in the city of West Hollywood.
Is the entire LA County fully deployed?
The entire LA County is not fully deployed, but we expect to be very soon.
Okay. Thank you very much on that. Sensitivity training. What do the West Hollywood officers go through any different sensitivity training than other Los Angeles County Sheriff's officers?
Yes, we do have a sensitivity training here at the City of West Hollywood. We try to do it yearly as trainees come in. We have a member of our LGBTQ board teach the class. It is really a phenomenal class. I've taken it myself. And it entails what our community, who our community is, who lives in our community, what to expect, how to address folks in our community. More importantly, one of the biggest things I want to say, Larry, is that our deputy sheriffs choose to come here. And they come here from, I always say, I have deputy sheriffs here who pass 3 sheriff stations because they want to work in the City of West Hollywood. When you come here, you know your community. You know what you're getting yourself into. My deputy sheriffs want to be here. They're not assigned. They put in to come to the City of West Hollywood.
I love that. I think we're going to end part 1 right here.
Okay.
Thanks. And